Hello and welcome back to another episode of Crime Chronicles. He boxed at an Olympic and world title level and holds an impressive 27 win and 2 loss professional record. So why is this boxer now spending the rest of his life in jail? Stay tuned as we look at the life and crimes of Felix Verdejo Sanchez, also known as El Diamante. The year was 2012, and at the Summer Olympics in London, a young Puerto Rican boxer, Felix Verdejo Sanchez, was predicted to win a medal, maybe even a gold. He had already won the lightweight division at the 2012 American Olympic Boxing Qualification Tournament, and great things were expected from this young boxer. He was the pride of Puerto Rico. Verdejo Sanchez would remain in the public spotlight for many years due to his boxing prowess, but most recently he has been in the news for all the wrong reasons. The future star of world boxing was born in the Puerto Rican city of San Juan on May 19, 1993. He grew up in a large family of modest means, and from an early age was more interested in baseball than in boxing. His life in boxing was started by an incident when Felix was 9 years old. A family friend came to visit them with his son of the same age. The boys were playing in the yard when suddenly a quarrel erupted and they began fighting. The parents separated the boys, and Felix's father noted that if he wants to fight with someone in the future, let him wear boxing gloves and do it in the boxing ring. At Felix's request, he was taken to a local gym, and he later admitted from the first training session he fell in love with boxing. He knew this was his future. At the age of 16, he won the Pan American Junior Championships before going on to win titles in Puerto Rico. He worked hard at his craft and would find himself at the 2012 Summer Olympic Games in London, representing his country at the tender age of 19. Although he didn't go on to win a medal at the Olympics, he defeated some highly ranked fighters before losing in the quarterfinals. Shortly after returning from the Olympics, Felix made the decision to turn professional, accepting an offer from the top-ranked promotional company for an undisclosed amount. It's been rumored that there was a signing bonus of around $600,000 involved in the deal. El Diamante was now on his way, and he had a spectacular run, winning his first 23 professional fights in a row. These fights saw Felix win and retain a number of times the WBO Latino title, as well as being voted Prospect of the Year by ESPN.com in 2014. Verdejo Sanchez continued to box at the highest levels, even returning to the ring after a serious motorcycle accident in 2016 that saw him spend time in a critical condition hospital ward. On April 30th, 2021, Felix would make the news for something other than boxing. On that day, he would be named by the police as a person of interest in the disappearance of a 27-year-old pregnant woman, Keishla Rodríguez Ortiz. In a heartbreaking twist, Keishla's family announced at the time that she was pregnant with Felix's child. The following day, the young woman's body was found at the San Jose Lagoon. Rodríguez Ortiz's horrific femicide in April of 2021 stunned the US territory at a time when many Puerto Ricans were already urging officials to reform a government system that they felt had not done enough to address gender violence. As details of her death began to filter out, it became clear that she had suffered horrifically at the hands of her killer. The story of how Verdejo Sanchez carried out the horrific murder of Keishla gets very dark, so be warned, what comes next may not be suitable for some listeners. According to the US Attorney's Office in Puerto Rico, Verdejo Sanchez lured Rodríguez Ortiz into his Dodge Durango, violently assaulted her, injected her with drugs, and tied her with a metal wire to a cement block. He then drove to the famous Teodoro Moscoso Bridge and threw Rodríguez Ortiz into the San Jose Lagoon. Verdejo Sanchez then jumped into the lagoon in order to finish murdering the young woman and her unborn child, the US Attorney's Office said when discussing the trial. An autopsy determined Rodríguez Ortiz had fentanyl and xylazine, a sedative used for horses and other animals, in her system. One of the most worrying details was that according to a pathologist who testified at the trial, Rodríguez Ortiz was still alive when she was thrown into the water. Verdejo Sanchez didn't act alone in this terrible act. He was helped by his friend Luis Cadiz Martinez, who was also charged in the case. After pleading guilty and reaching a plea deal with prosecutors last year, Cadiz Martinez served as a crucial witness during Verdejo Sanchez's trial. Cadiz Martinez testified that Verdejo Sanchez had pressured Rodríguez Ortiz to get an abortion before she was killed. Keishla's disappearance marked the first time that Puerto Rican authorities activated the Pink Alert, which authorizes the deployment of certain law enforcement resources to find abducted or missing women. She was wearing the scrubs she used at the pet grooming business where she worked. The images shown at the trial became a symbol used by Rodríguez Ortiz's family and advocates to seek justice for her murder. Once Keishla's body was discovered, a warrant for Felix's arrest was issued. He handed himself in and was charged with Keishla's death. He pleaded not guilty to the killing and was lucky to find that at trial he wouldn't face the death penalty if found guilty. During the trial, a mountain of evidence, including the bombshell testimony from his accomplice Cadiz Martinez, led a jury to find El Diamante guilty after 25 hours of deliberation. The jury found him guilty of the two main charges, of kidnapping and killing Keishla, including the killing of her unborn child. Unfortunately, the jury could not reach unanimous verdicts on the other two charges against Verdejo, which included carjacking resulting in the death of a person, as well as possession and use of a firearm while committing a violent act. These charges were almost inconsequential as the former boxer and star athlete was sentenced to life in prison on November 3rd, 2023. So what led this young man, the top of his profession, to commit such an evil act? Evidence at trial indicated that although El Diamante had a long-term partner, as well as a young child, he took almost every opportunity to play around with any number of admiring women who were always in his orbit. Felix was at the top of his sport, an icon in his home country, as well as a good-looking guy. There was never any shortage of women who wanted his attention. An affair with Keishla led to her becoming pregnant with Felix's child. When she told him about this, he spent time trying to encourage her to have an abortion. Keishla didn't want to do this as she was already 27 and felt that the time was right to have a child. This didn't fit in with Felix's plans and threatened to ruin his long-term relationship, so he took the unimaginable step of killing Keishla in order to rid himself of what he perceived as a problem. It seems crazy that he thought this insane act would go unnoticed. Maybe his years of being hit in the head had somehow clouded his judgment. Or maybe he was always a bad person who finally took one step too far. None of this speculation will bring back a young woman and her unborn child. But luckily, with El Diamante behind bars for the rest of his life, everyone else is safe from encountering this sick individual. Thank you for listening to Crime Chronicles today. If you like the story, please give it a thumbs up. Please also subscribe to our channel and share it with your friends.